Hello and welcome. Welcome to Around the Town with Mark. I am Mark Whalen, your host, and yes, we're always glad to have you tune in and visit with us. Well, we've all been stuck in the house a lot with the COVID-19, and we're all getting kind of tired of that and want to get out and do some fun. Well, we're going to be talking about fun and getting out and seeing the community and all that it has to offer through the eyes of Amy Perry, who is the executive director of the Thames River Heritage Park. The park not being just one park, but all kinds of units put together. So let me introduce Amy to you because she's the one that knows what's going on. Amy Perry, welcome to Around the Town with Mark.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. Let's start out by telling everyone a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do and why you do it.
Well, I'm the executive director of the Thames River Heritage Park, and I do it because it's a great organization. It's a nonprofit organization, and their vision aligns with the visions that I have for the area as well. The park, for those viewers who aren't familiar with the park is a park without boundaries. It's a state park, but a little different. It's the only heritage park in the state of Connecticut. And what it is it's a collection of heritage sites that are linked by water, which capture the history and culture of life along the Thames River. So we have partner sites that are within the park. They're independently owned and operated, but the park itself augments their position by putting them on a platform and marketing them as a destination. So there are sites on the Groton side as well as on the New London side, and that's why they're linked by water through our water taxi, which I'll talk about in a minute. The sites that are included are, we start with the Monte Cristo Cottage in New London, which is Eugene O'Neill's boyhood summer home. He was our Pulitzer and Nobel-winning...
Got all kinds of things up on the screen right now. Yeah.
Nobel-winning playwright. And then we have Ledgelight, of course, the wonderful...
Well, it's the Empire style.
Yes, exactly.
Built, I think it was 1917. Wasn't that correct? That was built?
I think it's 1909, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
all right.
1909. Yeah, it's a beautiful lighthouse. No longer manned, but nonetheless beautiful to see in the river. Then we see, of course, Fort Griswold Monument, Fort Griswold's Battlefield State Park here in Groton. We see the Avery Copp House, a Victorianized home that was built around the early 1800s. The Nautilus is one of our, the Nautilus Museum is one of our anchor sites, and we will be having a dock to the Nautilus in 2022, which is very exciting.
Oh, great. Very exciting.
Very exciting. Next, you see the Ebenezer Avery House, again in Groton, which played a key role in the Battle of Groton Heights when many of the wounded were brought to that house right after the battle in 1781. Then we see the Guard Art Center, one of our partners in New London. Not so much a place that people would just go and look at, but they are an active participant in the park and support our efforts significantly.
Wonderful.
Then we see the Lyman Allen Museum, beautiful art museum with a collection of over 17,000 pieces.
Wow.
It's a lot. They started with about, I think, 9.
That's fabulous for this area to have a museum that's got, fabulous.
Yes, they have an incredible collection, and one of their premier collections right now is a Tiffany exhibit. That is a permanent exhibit now that people can see Louis Comfort Tiffany's stained glass and other works that he has done. The Subvets Memorial Museum, Subvets Memorial, it's not really a museum, that's obviously on the Groton side when people can visit that at any time, and it memorializes the submariners who were lost in World War II.
And that's on obviously the Groton side, down off of Thames Street, as you can see, closer to the bridge, correct?
That's right. It's right. Yep, it's right on. Yep, right off Thames Street.
Okay.
And then we have the Hempstead houses. The one you see here is the Nathaniel Hempstead house, and then there's Joshua Hempstead house behind it. That was one of the few houses that survived the burning of New London. Soldiers and Sailors Monument is really indicating historic downtown New London, which is another anchor place, landing, if you will, in hopes that the Coast Guard Museum will be there, so it'll be another anchor. And then we see the Nathan Hale Schoolhouse, which is right on the plaza in downtown New London, where the most famous patriot of the United States taught before he started his not very long and successful career as a spy.
Yes.
So those are the sites that are in the park, along with the restaurants and the galleries and coffee shops and things like that that are located there.
You know, it's really awesome, I think, that people, I mean, I've been living here all my life, and it's a long time, but I don't think everybody realizes how much Groton has and New London has to offer. We are really rich in all kinds of history.
Absolutely, and that's why the park was created, and it was conceived in the 1960s, where
really?
legislators and community leaders wanted a way to showcase the amazing history that we have here. I grew up in New London, and I can echo what you just said, that, you know, I didn't go to the Shaw Mansion when I was a kid growing up, or the Hempstead houses.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us didn't learn American history when we were kids. Now they do, but
Yes, exactly. Usually, I remember in elementary school anyway, it was always about Magellan or some world person, and not you know, they didn't talk
what's
about
in your backyard,
what was in the backyard.
That's right.
Except occasionally the submarine
That's right.
industry, because we're the submarine capital of the world and all of that.
That's
And
right.
the other part that makes this so special is you highlight all these wonderful things, but we are also a water community.
That's right.
So you're bringing that aspect in as well.
That's right.
So tell us about that
Yes.
part of it.
So, one of the things that makes the park unique is our water taxi, and the boats are
There we go.
surplus Navy utility boats that have been completely refurbished, and
They're fairly big, aren't they?
yeah, they're
Yeah.
39 feet.
That's a really good
good-sized
size,
boat.
yeah.
They hold comfortably about 35, but legally 41.
Okay.
And we have 3 landings along the Thames. The boat starts at Fort Trumbull over in New London, and then it goes over to historic downtown New London, and then it goes over to the Groton landing at the base of Fort Griswold. And it does, it's a hop-on, hop-off. It's a 1-hour loop, so people can get off, visit some of the places at that particular landing site, or go have something to eat, know that the boat's going to be back in an hour, and hop back on and do something on the other side of the river.
Well, that
So
was
it's
the
just
next thing I
every-
was going to ask you is that part of it. And so people should really pay attention to know that once you get on the boat, you don't have to stay on that
That's
boat
right.
for that loop. You get off where and when you want to, and stay as long as you want to.
That's right.
As long as you know you don't miss the last boat.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And our captains are so great that if you call, they'll come back and get you.
Oh, okay, that's
but don't tell anybody. No, just kidding.
Yeah. And then again, like you say, either in New London or Groton, there's plenty of places. Paul's Pasta, of course, in Groton is
Yeah.
everyone goes there,
Yeah.
and there's great places down Bank Street in New
That's right.
London for a wonderful meal.
That's
and,
right.
And so yes,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and for those people who do want to just go for a ride, some of the sites are incredible that are just right in front of you that you don't think of. This is the image of the bridge, of the Gold Star Bridge, and we go under it on every loop. And going under the bridge, it's just extraordinary. It's like an experience like you never would have if you
Yeah,
didn't have an opportunity to be on a boat.
I mean, that is something really special because so many people, especially, if you have friends or relatives that come out from out of state that drive back and forth on 95 over that bridge, but they never get the opportunity to look up and see what's going on above them.
And it has a beauty to it.
It does.
It really has a beauty to it.
Yeah, and if you're lucky, you'll go underneath when a train comes across. I've done that. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, talk about a transportation hub, huh?
Well, that's right.
That's
Ferry
right.
boats and tour boats and cars and trains and planes. Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
right.
guess we got it all.
That's right. That's right. And of course, you can, if you time it right, there might be a sub going by. I've seen many of them when I've been on the taxi. You never know.
And how exciting, because
it's extraordinary.
It is, because
Yeah.
that's really getting a close-up of...
Yeah, yes, it's very close.
Yeah.
We get, and I was on the boat when that was taken, and as we were going along, we actually got closer. Not, deliberately close, but
Sure.
just because of our route, got us closer.
And again, that would be, I mean, we often see submarines because we live in the area, but again, if you have family or friends that are coming to visit and you happen to see a submarine, I mean,
how many places in the world
that's
can you
pretty
actually
special.
see one?
Very, very few, yeah.
And I have to tell you, I live in New London, but I never stop. I always stop. If I see a submarine and I'm on Pequot Avenue, I have to pull over. I have to look. I have to watch.
Yeah. I live in the Eastern Point area, and I've gotten now to the point where even if it's a foggy day, it just happened a couple days ago, you get to learn the sound. It's not the same sound as a ferry boat going by. It really has a very unique sound. And I said, oh, okay, there's a ferry boat going by. Let's look out and see what it is. Is it coming in or going out?
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, it's so cool.
It is. It is. We're very, very lucky. So, and of course, you can just ride the taxi. You don't have to get off. A lot of people do. Just take a ride when they have little kids on the boat. It's perfectly fine. You don't have to get off. But
again, how
but
many
you can.
people have an opportunity to be on a boat?
Yeah.
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 So there you go again.
True. That's very true. So the image you're looking at now is one of our tours. So not only do we do the hop-on, hop-off water taxi, but we use these boats for historically themed tours. So this tour was being led by Captain Paul Whitescarver, who used to be the commanding officer.
Oh, yes, I've met him several times. Yeah, he's been on this show before. Great guy.
Yeah. He's giving a tour called Submarines, Battlefields, and Betrayers, and military history on the Thames. And so, as you can see, we're right, down the way from Electric Boat. And people are very engaged. Our tours are 90 minutes. We run them, we put out a schedule basically and run them in the summer, usually just July and August, and then we have some in the fall as well, haunted tours and that kind of thing.
Oh, great.
Yes.
So
we partner with Seaside Shadows. It's a woman who does haunted tours, and we do them on the boat.
Everybody loves a haunted
Yes, they
tour
do.
in the fall,
Yes,
especially for
they
the
do.
kids.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. And this year we'll be doing a Native American tour.
Oh,
We've been trying to do that for quite a while because although the history of the park with what's in the park goes back 400 years, but people were here long before that.
Sure.
And so we have had an opportunity to partner with some colleagues at Mohegan and Mashantucket tribes, and we'll be putting together a Native American tour this year.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm glad you're doing that, because that, again, Native Americans were here for a long time.
And they use the river quite a bit.
Yes,
like
and they have a great history with the area, and they deserve to be recognized for what they've always contributed and contribute now to the city. Yeah. That's right. And New London and the whole park.
That's right.
Area.
Yeah. So that'll be an addition. We have one other tour that I'm not sure how often we'll be running it this coming summer, but it was called Suffragettes, Puppeteers, and Patriots. Women of the Thames, and it was in honor of the 100-year anniversary of women's suffrage.
Another wonderful part of history
That's
to
right.
recognize.
That's right.
Yeah.
There were dozens and dozens of women who were extraordinary in New London and in Groton that really stepped up.
Well, they've, I'm searching for words that I can't, some of the words I want to use, I don't think I should. But it's like they liberated women.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And equal.
The woman who wrote the book in order to keep travelers of color safe in a segregated America, I'm sorry, her name isn't coming to me, wrote the book before the Green Book was written. She was from New London, and she wrote the book of guiding people of color to safe hotels and safe restaurants. There are educators that were, first, and then we have the first black teacher in Connecticut was Benny Dover. There's dozens. There's Maisie Plant, who was a philanthropist.
Oh, of course.
And Harkness,
yes.
Mary Harkness was a philanthropist.
Yes, yes.
So that tour was done not only as a boat tour, but as a walking tour as well.
That's great.
And so that was, so that's our tours for this summer right now.
And that's
still
just
early.
But it's just a whole idea of what you're telling me is in addition to the wonderful scope that you have as a park, but you have so many other things to offer that you give to the community.
That's right.
About women and people of color and the Indians and all of that. So your organization is really doing a great service.
Thank you.
Not just running a boat,
Right.
but giving a great service.
That's right.
To everybody.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
well, it is. I think it's fantastic because, again, those are all very important things that people should not forget, so they aren't relived. I don't think at this day and age it would, but
Yeah.
yeah. So what is the season? When do you begin, and how long does it go, and what are the basic kind of hours?
Yep. So we operate. We start the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, and go to the middle of September. I think it's September 12th this year. We operate Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and holidays. And the schedule is we start at, they're odd hours, but we start at 10:40 and go to 6:20. And those are COVID hours. We had to make a lot of, adapt and new protocols for COVID. And one of the things we did was cut back our hours a little bit. We didn't have evening hours because people wouldn't be using the boat to go somewhere for dinner, to come over to for dinner.
Yeah. Well, that was the next question on my mind was, how has COVID affected your organization and the tours and those types of things? And some restaurants, I mean, do you see perhaps between now and your season this year that things might be relaxed a little bit?
We hope so. We hope so. We are a nimble organization, and so when we had to follow certain protocols for the boats, we shortened our hours. We got a late start to the season because we didn't know if we were going to have permission, have approval.
Sure.
And we had to cut our capacity on the boat by 50%.
Sure, for the distancing
for
and
the distancing.
all the rules that we all now have to follow for this thing.
So right now it's March. We're going forward thinking we may have to do the same thing, but it's very easy for us to find out that if we can have a 75% capacity, then
boom,
we can
you're
do
on
it. Give us 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's excellent. And how long have you been involved? Were you involved from the beginning, or who was the brilliant person that came up with the idea of creating this wonderful heritage park?
So, as I had said, that it was sort of the idea decades ago of local leaders, and so over the course of several decades, there was legislation passed, I think in the late 80s, that allowed for a heritage park. In the 90s, the floating docks were put in.
Okay,
And
right.
then I think by 2000, I want to say 5, but I'm not really sure, Fort Trumbull had been completely redone. No one, I think, even knew it was there. And then it died for a little while as a result of the team that was working together couldn't agree on a site for a visitor center. And so it just kind of fell by the wayside for a few years.
Yeah.
And then in 2014, the Avery Cop House was interested in, it could have been 2012 actually, 2012, they were interested in sort of taking their museum house and trying to figure out a way to bring it, bring more visitorship, get it people more aware of it. And they had some, big ideas, big thoughts. And so a woman named Penny Parsekian was a consultant for the Avery Cop House, and she was familiar with the original plan, and she was familiar with a group at Yale, which was the Yale Urban Design Group, that takes on projects like this. And so they picked up the ball, and they went through a process over, I think it took about 2 years, to finalize the plan, to put the idea of how the water taxi was going to work, and and actually bringing water taxis into the mix. And so when that was approved, that was done through the Avery Cop House, and when it got approved, it launched the ability for the park to go forward. And boats were purchased, if you will. They're surplus, so they're not costly, but they're very, very costly to get in operational.
To operate,
tens and tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
And so the first time they launched the boats was in 2016.
Okay.
And I joined the organization that fall. I was not involved that first season. So I've been here almost 5 years, a little over 4.5 years.
Great. Well,
so it's grown quite a bit.
yeah,
It's
obviously.
nice to
and
see.
I just want to put a plug in for the Avery Cop House because all the sites that you've talked about or that you have on the program all have a wonderful story of their own to talk about. But if someone hasn't been to the Avery Cop House, they're really missing something because it's really a time capsule over many generations.
That's right.
Because basically it hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't.
The kitchen utensils that were used 100 years ago are still in the same place where they were 100 years ago, basically.
Yeah.
And they've got great programs of like making pounded cheese and all kinds of great old recipes and things. So.
They have teas, they have fairy teas, and yes, we work closely with the Avery Cop House. So it's because of them that I think this actually finally came to fruition.
Do you know if the monument is going to be open or is it? Because I know as a kid we used to go up to the top of the Washington,
At the Fort Griswold.
Fort Griswold, not the Washington, the Fort Griswold, and it's got a fantastic view.
It does.
Oh,
it's a little
amazing.
window. It's a very
it's
small
just a
window.
tiny little thing.
Yeah.
But we used to do that a couple people at a time. It was fun.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know the answer to that because I think in terms of again everyone's sort of just going month by month to see what they can.
Yeah, I know. I
can
should
do.
have.
But
I
I'm sure that it will be open if they can open it.
Yeah.
Right?
No. Tell me about needs. Every organization I've run, several, not as extensive as yours, but two things that we're always looking for is volunteers and, of course, help financially.
Funding.
And funding is so very important.
It is.
For these. So
it is.
touch a little bit on those topics if you
Yes. So again, we get some state funding from the Department of Transportation, but every other year, we're not sure if we're going to get it because it's a budget year. This year it's a budget year, so we're working hard with our legislators to make sure that that money is still included. And the rest of our funding comes from sponsorships and donations and grants.
Are you a 501c3?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. So every listener out there, pay attention to that.
Yes.
Large or small, this is a great great way to support the community and give to help this program go on.
Yes. We have, so obviously you can donate, which is great. And we have a membership. We have membership levels that you can, receive certain little perks to join, and all of that is on our website. But you can
So
just
you have
one
like
click.
season passes and that type of thing, or you can buy maybe just for that one trip for the day, or you can buy for the entire season. Is that correct?
Yes, you can buy a water taxi ticket just when you get on the boat. You can buy them online, but it's really still not necessary to do that.
Okay.
You can always get on. Boat tours need to be bought online because they sell out pretty quickly.
Good.
Yeah, that's
Good.
great.
So we want to hear.
Yeah, the tours have been very successful for us, and
Great.
so we're going to continue to grow that. But season passes are $50 for an adult and $30 for a child, and you can buy them at any time, and it's unlimited rides all
That's
season.
all?
Yeah.
For a whole season of having fun?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's fair. It's a bargain.
Yeah,
It's a
because
bargain.
I could see somebody taking their kids or something, and each boat ride go to one site by itself and really experience that one site, and then the next week take the tour again and go see another one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that does happen.
I think
That
that's
does happen
wonderful.
quite a bit. Yeah.
Wonderful. And volunteers, I guess you
Yes,
you need some like actually on the boat, or
that would be where I would be looking for volunteers. The people who would be interested in riding the boat, talking to people, making them feel welcome, knowing a little bit about the history and a little bit about what we're seeing along the shoreline. Couple rotations a weekend or something like that. But yes, if people are interested, we would provide them with, a little bit of training and let them know exactly what we want them to do, and then they can enjoy themselves. It's a very fun volunteer gig.
I was going to say that it really is a tremendous opportunity for
Yeah.
somebody to get out. Are you rain and shine pretty much?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
The captain determines whether we run or not.
Okay,
So there's
okay.
thunder or lightning. He
Oh, I was going to
calls
say
it.
obviously,
But, yeah,
if it's a little drizzly, foggy
no,
day,
absolutely.
you're still going to go.
Yep.
Great. Well, we're down to just a couple of minutes. Is there something that we haven't touched on, or that you'd like to share?
Yeah, a couple. One thing in particular. Now that it's still the down season, we have started doing virtual lectures.
Oh,
And
all right.
we have one coming up on Sunday. It's at 2:00. It's about the Resolute and the Resolute desk, the desk that we all
very
hear
famous.
about.
Oh,
very-
yeah.
And
Yep.
how that all came about. Steve Manuel, who is the executive director of the London County Historical Society, will be giving that talk. It's $10. And you can
Hey, bargain.
get a ticket right on our website, and then you'll get a link a couple hours before it. So it's
Wonderful.
Sunday the 28th at 2:00.
Oh, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Well, your contact information was, there it is. So please, everybody out there, take a picture of that with your phone, or write that down with an old-fashioned piece of paper and a pencil. I don't know if the young people of the world these days know
just
what
snap
one of
a
those
picture of
things
it.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Amy, this is terrific. I applaud you and your organization for what you do, because you're like I said earlier, it's a wonderful community with all kinds of things to do, but you're really putting it all together
Thank
in a
you.
very nice package.
Thank you.
So great. Well, anyway, time is up.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you for tuning in to Around the Town with Mark. Please visit the Heritage site and take a trip on the water taxi, and we'll see you again real soon.